14 years ago, I came to Guangdong province doing the job of making clothes. At that time, every weekend or small holiday, the streets were really crowded. There were people everywhere. The night market was open until 2 or 3 o'clock deep in the night, and the streets were bright by the lights. But now, at 12 o'clock in the evening, the night market is basically dark. In the past, it was difficult to rent an apartment here. Now, you can choose any apartment you want. There are empty condos everywhere.
今年真的很奇怪。
This year is really strange. I can't see anyone at all. When I was in my hometown in rural Jiangxi province, there were people in the village on the 8th day of the first lunar month. Now that I'm in Shenzhen, you can see no people on the road either. Where do people go?
到底去哪里了？
真正的人到底都去哪里了？
Where do all the people in Shenzhen go? I'm behind the Longhua bus station now. There are few people on the whole road. Let me show you. People are coming over with luggage one after another. In the past, the Longhua bus station in Hong Kong, Macau New Town were crowded with people. Why do I know? Because our store has been open here for 5 years. The flow of people under the traffic lights at the intersection is really crowded and densely packed like lots of ants. But at this moment, there are still relatively few people.
人还是比较稀少。
In China's relatively backward Guangxi province, the shop owner in Beihai City and the landlord of Nanning City also expressed their feelings.
北海是一个夜生活。
Beihai is a place with a very rich nightlife. In the past, there was constant traffic of people staying up all night. You could hear the roar of cars honking and noise almost all night long. There were also young people eating skewers at barbecue stalls all night long, playing finger-guessing games and yelling. The sound of finger-guessing games was endless. Look, my friend, how deserted the streets are now. There is basically no one here after 10 o'clock in the evening. There are only a few people here during the day, and there are no passing vehicles. It's hard to see delivery guys on the streets. What's going on?
像我这种城中村的房东，
Landlords like me in urban villages know best that the days of easy money for landlords will never come back. Nanning has demolished old residential buildings to build new ones in urban villages. But I haven't seen any tenants from the demolished villages come to rent an apartment here. The economy is really bad right now. Across the street is the Jiangnan bus station. There are few people walking there now, but there used to be a lot of people taking the bus. There is a village opposite the Jiangnan bus station. The village is called Yanduling. My home is in this village. This is the entrance to the village. It used to be very busy here, with many stalls and a large flow of people. Now, well, at least half the population is gone. I heard that Nanning's population has decreased by more than 1 million. I don't know if it's true or not.
不懂是真是假。
是四季美的叶菜区。
This is the night food area of beautiful Four Seasons. Every stall is full of vegetables, but no one comes to buy them. No customer came, even at the price of around 10 cents per pound. The whole market is empty. There are no people or cars. What happened this year? Where have all the business people gone?
都不吃菜了吗？
Some people may say that the city is deserted because all the migrant workers have gone back to their hometown in the rural areas. However, the current rural areas are in a strange situation too.
你看，
Look at how deserted the countryside is. There are more than a dozen households in my area, but only 4 people are at home now, either the elderly or the kids. To put it bluntly, even if someone dies of an emergency at home, no one will know about it or come to bury the body. A crane is needed to lift the coffin, and an excavator is needed to dig a hole because there is no manpower here. Look at the past. Before the year 2000, although people were poor at the time, they didn't want to go to work. Everyone stayed in their hometown. The village was full of people. If one family had problems, many families would come to help. Were people at that time more approachable and more humane? Look at what has become of the countryside now. It has become an empty village.
不光是我们餐饮，
Not only is there no one in our restaurant, but there is no one on the street, and even in the vegetable market. In the morning, I go to the wholesale market to buy vegetables for the store. It used to be so crowded that you couldn't even walk. But now, 99% of people who come to buy vegetables are grandpas and grandmas. This might reveal a shocking fact. China's population has decreased, and the number of young people has obviously decreased. On January 17, 2025, China's statistics released data claiming that by the end of 2024, China's population is 1.4828 billion, a decrease of 1.39 million from the end of 2023. and that China's natural population growth rate is negative 0.99%. From this data, it seems that China's population has only declined slightly, but the Chinese people do not think so.
400多万人口的咸宁，
Xianing City has a population of more than 4 million. There was no one in the scenic area, no one on the streets, no one in the shops, no one in the shopping malls, no one in the supermarkets, and even no one in the factories. We can't see anyone in the city or in the countryside. Where have the people gone? I remember when the population was 1.2 billion, it was crowded everywhere and people felt overcrowded everywhere. Now that the population is 1.4 billion, we can hardly see people anywhere.
都看不见人了。
In response, one netizen said, I have a question. Is it that not so many people are alive at all? Currently, many people go to the hospital. Although the CCP has tried hard to conceal the ongoing pandemic in China in recent years, hospitals in many parts of this country are often overcrowded. Many mainland Chinese told overseas Chinese media that many persons they know had repeated symptoms of colds and fevers. But because the Beijing authorities concealed the pandemic, some people thought they only had a common cold. Then, unexpectedly, the illnesses developed seriously to such an extent as white lung and pneumonia, and they died. Among those who died, there were not only frail and sick elderly, but also many children, and even many young and middle-aged people in their 30s and 40s who died suddenly. Mr. Huang, a villager in Xingtai City, Hebei Province, disclosed to overseas Chinese media that from last winter until now, many people have had repeated fevers and coughs, which are very serious. Many young people have died suddenly. People in their 40s have died suddenly more often. Funeral homes can no longer burn all the bodies, so cremation is no longer mandatory, and burial in the ground is allowed. He said, we keep hearing about young and middle-aged people dying without signs in the surrounding villages. Before the Chinese New Year, there was a man who was 47 or 48 years old. He went to help someone get married, and the next day he was found dead in bed. If you say that an older person died suddenly, it could be a natural death. But many people die suddenly at a young age. They looked all fine before, and then suddenly you heard the bad news the next day that the person was gone. In the surrounding villages, we often hear such cases. The people who passed away are all quite young, mostly in their 40s. Everyone feels very sorry because people in their 40s are the age when they have elderly parents and young children to support. Mr. Li, a villager in Zhoukou, Henan Province, said, many people caught colds, had runny noses and fevers, one after another. The hospitals are overwhelmed and people die in droves from pneumonia, heart attacks, and cerebral infractions in their 30s and 40s. Many died suddenly, inexplicably, and they were gone. They couldn't afford cremation, so they were buried secretly. People were dying every day, all young people. A piece of supplementary data from the 7th National Census caused a stir across China's internet. On February 16, 2025, China's Sohu.com published an article mentioning that census data showed that by the end of 2024, the survival rate of China's post-80s generation had dropped to 94.8%, and the mortality rate had exceeded 5.2%. This means that 1 out of every 20 people born in the 1980s will be forever frozen in this moment. There were about 223 million people born in the 1980s in China, but now the number has decreased by more than 10 million. The Beijing authorities also recently urgently refuted the rumor. As a result, many netizens became even more convinced, with some saying, debunking the rumor is proof of the truth. A netizen from Henan responded, in 2020, the mortality rate of people born in the 1980s was 5%. It's estimated to be 7% now. Before the pandemic, I believed the government's words, but now I do not. A Shanghai netizen said, DeepSeek does not allow answers to questions about population statistics. Why? Some netizens also confirmed the news of the large number of deaths of people born in the 1980s, saying, indeed, many people born in the 1980s have passed away. My close friend who was born in the 1980s has been buried. I know some people born in the 1980s. They are gone. I am very sad. What the funeral industry sees is even more telling. In the past 1 or 2 years, I have seen more and more people born in the 1980s and 1990s pass away. In fact, I was also looking at the data today. I wondered why so many people born in the 80s and 90s passed away. People born in the 80s and 90s should not be the majority of those who died. However, as I looked at the data, I found that apart from the normal deaths of the elderly, the most common group is people born in the 80s and 90s suffering from chronic diseases and those who died suddenly from myocardial infarction.
心梗的是最多的。
Although the CCP has been trying hard to cover up the true number, Tesla CEO Musk's artificial intelligence reasoning model Grok 3 has calculated astonishing data based on Chinese people's New Year consumption data, passenger volume, GDP growth rate, and unemployment rate. That is, during the previous 3 years of the pandemic, China's population has decreased by 150 million to 200 million. Although the Chinese Communist Party officials emphasize that the influenza virus now accounts for 99% of the outbreak, the public generally suspects that the party has once again concealed the epidemic and that it's not influenza A but a new coronavirus outbreak. Many Chinese people also have doubts about the cause of death of their relatives and friends who suddenly passed away. A Beijing dance teacher who goes by the pseudonym Zhang Ling said, "People around me, some of my students, they all had colds. This cold was particularly severe. The diseases this winter are very strange. They say it's influenza A, chlamydia, and human lung disease, but they don't say it's COVID-19. But everyone still says it's COVID-19 in private, only that it's not written in the hospital's report. I have a relative, a very strong young man, about 30 years old, who just caught a cold and died suddenly." In January and February 2025, many celebrities in the entertainment industry died, including 50-year-old Chinese mainland actor Gao Liang, 41-year-old Golden Melody King Ka Li Fang, 27-year-old Chinese mainland actor Liang Yucheng, 36-year-old Chinese crosstalk actor Xu Chaocheng, and 38-year-old Chinese internet celebrity Xiaomi. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.